The alien girl named Lyra came from a peaceful planet called Velrith, a place known for its shimmering skies and silver rivers. Her people had always admired humans from afar, studying Earth through distant sensors. They found humans strange but fascinating, so emotional, so determined, and so unpredictable. Lyra, however, wasn't just fascinated. She was deeply drawn to them, especially after reading old Earth transmissions and stories about human courage and love. When she finally traveled to Earth as part of a cultural exchange mission, she didn't expect to meet someone like Ethan Ward. He was older than most of the humans she'd met, gray at the temples, calm in his speech, his eyes holding quiet stories she couldn't decode. He wasn't a soldier or a leader, but an engineer who once helped design ships during Earth's first contact war decades ago. He lived a simple life on the edge of a small coastal town, where the wind carried the smell of salt and rain. Lyra found herself visiting him more often than she planned. At first, she claimed it was for research. She said she wanted to learn about human craftsmanship, about how humans built things by hand even when machines could do the work faster. Ethan didn't question her visits. He'd smile, pour tea, and let her sit by the window while he worked on his small machines. Weather sensors, old ship models, and strange devices that hummed softly. Over weeks, Lyra's curiosity turned into something stronger. She didn't understand the feeling at first. Velrithians didn't fall in love the way humans did. Their connections were logical, based on harmony of thought and balance of emotion. But when Ethan smiled at her, when his rough hands passed her a tool, when he explained something patiently, she felt warmth she couldn't explain. Her heart beat faster. She found herself thinking about him when she should have been sending reports back to her ship. Ethan noticed her quiet admiration but said nothing. He was a man who carried years of silence. Many people in town thought he was just an old mechanic who fixed what others threw away. But Lyra sensed there was more beneath his calm. Sometimes when he stared out at the horizon, she caught a flicker of sadness in his eyes. One evening, as rain fell softly outside, Lyra finally asked, "Why do you live so far from everyone else?" Ethan took a long pause before answering. Because sometimes the world moves too fast and a man needs a place where he can hear himself think. His answer puzzled her. Velrithians rarely separated from their communities. To be alone was considered unhealthy. Yet Ethan seemed at peace with it. In fact, his solitude made him stronger in her eyes. Over the next few months, their bond deepened. Lyra learned how to use tools, how to repair old engines, how to read human maps and fix damaged circuits. In return, she taught Ethan about the stars, about her planet's twin moons, and about the music her people made from starlight frequencies. They laughed often. For a man who rarely smiled, Ethan found himself doing it more than he had in years. Then came the day she told him her decision. "Ethan," she said softly, "I have chosen a partner according to human custom. I want to join my life with yours." The words hit him like a storm. He set down the wrench he was holding and looked at her, uncertain he'd heard right. "Lyra, you don't mean that." "I do," she said, eyes shining. "Humans and Velrithians can join now. It is approved by the Council. I have already submitted my request." He sighed deeply, his expression unreadable. "Lyra, you don't understand. I'm not the man you think I am," she frowned. "You are kind, patient, and brave. I have studied many humans. You are different. You carry no hate." "Why would you say that?" Ethan turned away, his gaze falling on a small metal case resting on his work table. He hadn't opened it in years. Inside was an old insignia, the mark of the Earth Defense Fleet, and a small fragment of alien metal blackened and burned. "There are things about me," he said slowly, "that were buried long ago for a reason." Lyra stepped closer. "Then tell me. I wish to know all of you," but he shook his head. "Not yet. Some truths are heavy. You're young. You still see the universe with wonder. I don't want to change that." Lyra's voice trembled slightly. "You think I would stop caring because of your past?" Ethan looked at her with sad eyes. "It's not my past I fear, it's what it means." That night she couldn't sleep. She walked along the cliffs near his home, the sea wind pulling at her silver hair. Humans were complicated. They hid pain behind smiles, guilt behind humor, and love behind silence. Still, she couldn't imagine leaving him. The next morning, a message arrived from her ship in orbit. It was marked urgent. The Velrithian High Council had discovered new files about the Earth War. a conflict that had almost destroyed both species 50 years ago. The files named a man responsible for developing the weapons that ended the war in Earth's favor, a man named Ethan Ward. Lyra's heart froze. She read the report again, then again, hoping she was mistaken. It described how Ethan had created a prototype energy system, capable of disabling entire alien fleets without firing a shot. The system had turned Velrithian ships into drifting ghosts, powerless, helpless. Thousands of her people had died before the peace treaty was signed. The report called him the silent architect of victory. She didn't know what to feel. Anger, sadness, confusion? The man she admired, the man she wanted to join her life with, had once designed the weapon that destroyed her ancestors. Yet he had never spoken of it. He had treated her with nothing but kindness. When she returned to his workshop, Ethan saw the look in her eyes and knew. "You found out," he said quietly. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice breaking slightly. "Because I wanted you to see the man I am now, not the one I was forced to be," he said. "Back then the world was chaos. Both our sides did things we regret. I was young and believed I was protecting humanity. But when I saw what it cost, what it did to your people, I couldn't live with it. So I left everything behind." Lyra felt tears gather in her eyes. Velrithians rarely cried, but she had learned this human act from him. "All this time, I loved someone who once destroyed my world." Ethan shook his head slowly. "No, you love the man who has spent every day since trying to make peace with what he did." Silence filled the room. Outside, thunder rolled over the ocean. Lyra turned away, her heart torn between two truths, the duty to her people and the love she couldn't deny. He didn't stop her when she walked out. He knew some truths couldn't be faced all at once. Yet as she stepped into the rain, she looked back just once, seeing him standing in the doorway, his figure outlined by the warm glow of the workshop. In that brief moment, she realized something. Maybe love wasn't about perfection or innocence. Maybe it was about understanding the scars that came before the gentleness, but she still didn't know the full truth. Not yet. There was something Ethan hadn't told her, something buried even deeper than guilt, and soon that truth would change everything between them. Lyra didn't return to Ethan's workshop for 3 days. During that time, her ship circled high above Earth, waiting for her decision. Her superiors wanted her to cut all contact with him and return home. They warned her that humans could not be trusted, that the peace between their worlds was built on uneasy silence. But Lyra couldn't forget the look in Ethan's eyes, the sorrow, the regret, the quiet kindness that no war file could ever describe. She spent hours looking at Earth's blue oceans from her ship's window. On Velrith, water was rare, sacred, and never endless like this. Maybe that was why humans had learned to dream so big. They lived surrounded by oceans that looked like infinity. She finally decided to go back to him, but not to accuse him. She wanted to understand. When she landed near the cliffs again, Ethan was there, waiting. He didn't look surprised, only relieved. "I thought you might never come back," he said softly. "I had to think," she replied. "Your name is still spoken in anger among my people. But I saw something they never did." Ethan smiled faintly. "You saw a tired man with too many regrets." "I saw a man trying to make peace," she said. "But there's something I still don't understand. If you built the weapon that ended the war, why did you stop? Why did you disappear?" Ethan looked away, his hands tightening around a small metal device on his table. "Because that weapon didn't work the way people think it did," he said. "And because it wasn't meant to destroy." Lyra's brow furrowed. "But the reports..." "Lies," he interrupted gently. "Or maybe half-truths. The system I built was called the Resonant Field. It was designed to shut down ships without hurting anyone, a peaceful weapon if such a thing can exist. But the generals changed it. They turned it into something lethal, something that drained the life support of every ship it touched. I begged them to stop. When they refused, I sabotaged the core code myself." Lyra's eyes widened. "Then how did the war end?" He took a deep breath. "Because the resonant field never fully activated. It only appeared to. The truth is, your people surrendered because they thought their fleet was gone. In reality, I had secretly disabled the human side too. Both fleets went silent. Both sides thought they had lost everything. In that silence, peace became the only choice left. Lyra stood frozen, trying to take in his words. You mean, you stopped the war by making everyone believe they had lost? Yes, Ethan said quietly. It was the only way to make them listen. Millions of lives were saved, but no one could ever know. Both governments needed heroes and villains to explain their pain. So they made me the human hero, and your people made me the human monster. Her heart twisted. She wanted to believe him, and deep inside she did. Why didn't you tell anyone? Because peace built on pride is fragile, he said. If either side learned the truth, they'd start fighting again. Sometimes a lie can hold the world together. Lyra took a slow breath. For the first time she saw the full weight he carried, the guilt of being hated for saving lives, the loneliness of keeping a secret too big to share. You let them hate you, she whispered, so the galaxy could rest. Ethan gave a sad smile. Someone had to. They stood in silence, the sea wind moving around them like a whisper. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes filled with both sorrow and admiration. You once told me love was about understanding scars, she said. Now I understand yours. He laughed softly, a sound both broken and warm. You shouldn't waste your heart on an old man carrying ghosts. I'm not wasting it, she said. I'm choosing it. For a brief moment, peace returned between them. Lyra helped him in the workshop again, learning how to repair old machines and listening to his stories about a world before war. But peace never lasted long when truth was involved. One evening, as the sun went down, a message arrived at Ethan's terminal. It wasn't from Lyra's people, it was from Earth Command. They had discovered his secret decades late. The message was short and cold. We know what you did. You are ordered to report to Lunar Station for questioning. Ethan read it silently, then deleted it. He didn't tell Lyra, but she noticed the change in him, the quiet glances toward the sky, the way his hands trembled when he thought she wasn't looking. 2 nights later, Earth ships appeared above the coast, bright lights cutting through the clouds. Lyra saw them first. Ethan, they're here for you, aren't they? He didn't deny it. They finally figured it out. They'll take you away, she said, panic in her voice. They'll make you a traitor for stopping a war. He smiled softly. It's all right. Maybe it's time they know the truth. She shook her head fiercely. No. You saved both our worlds. You don't deserve chains. Peace has a price, Lyra. I paid mine long ago. Before she could argue, the ground shook as dropships descended near the cliffs. Soldiers in dark suits spread out, scanners sweeping the area. Lyra grabbed his hand. Come with me. My ship is hidden beyond the ridge. We can escape. He looked at her, torn between reason and hope. If I run, they'll think I'm guilty. You're not guilty. You're human, she said. And sometimes that means doing the impossible to survive. He hesitated only a moment, then nodded. Together they ran toward the ridge, wind roaring in their ears. Searchlights swept over them. One beam caught Ethan, but Lyra pulled him behind a cluster of rocks. Her hand glowed faintly, using her people's cloaking field to hide them. When they reached her ship, Ethan paused at the ramp. If I leave Earth, I can never come back. Then don't look back, she said. Look forward with me. They took off just as the searchlights found the cliff. The small ship shot upward into the night, disappearing into the clouds. Ethan sat in silence, watching the blue planet fade behind them. After a long moment, he turned to Lyra. They'll call me a deserter. They can call you whatever they want, she said firmly. But to me, you'll always be the man who chose peace over pride. When they reached orbit, Lyra sent a coded message to her people. She explained everything. Ethan's truth, his sacrifice, his refusal to let either side destroy the other. The council was silent for hours before replying. Their message came with a single line. Bring him to Velrith. He deserves to be heard. Ethan stared at the message in disbelief. They'll never believe me. They will, Lyra said. Because I do. When they arrived on her planet days later, the silver rivers shone under twin moons. The Velrithian Council awaited them in a grand hall of crystal and light. Ethan stood before them, weary but calm, and told the truth, every word of it. When he finished, the chamber was silent. Then one elder finally said, "For half a century, we hated you, and yet you may be the only reason we're still here." Lyra felt tears rise again, this time of relief. Ethan simply bowed his head. "Hatred is easier than truth," he said, "but truth lasts longer." The council agreed to clear his name in secret. They couldn't change history, but they could honor the man who had carried the burden of peace alone. Lyra stayed by his side through it all. Years passed quietly. Ethan found a home among her people, teaching young engineers how to build without destruction. Lyra often watched him from afar, still amazed that this single human, once broken by guilt, had changed the fate of two worlds. One night under Velrith's twin moons, she told him, "Do you remember when I said I wanted to marry you?" He smiled gently. "Yes. You didn't know the full truth then." "I know it now," she said, taking his hand. "And I still choose you." Ethan looked at her for a long moment, then laughed softly. Then maybe the universe can forgive old men after all. They stood together as starlight shimmered around them, the sea of silver flowing beyond the horizon. The galaxy would never know the full story of how peace was truly won, but between them the truth lived quietly, stronger than hatred, older than war, and as endless as the stars.